Let's get to it.
So what do you got?
Same old for me. That's what I tell people.
That's not good.
I mean, that's better than...
That's fine for conversation. That's not fine for a podcast.
I used to, we could talk about the expressions people use. I used to use "I'm all right" when people would ask me. I've been told that that's lazy, so I switched it up a little bit. I started saying same old, same old.
What do you mean that's lazy? It's not even... Who told you that?
A friend of mine. He just said that, like...
get rid of him. I don't know who that is. Get rid of them. If they listen to the podcast, turn it off, buddy.
No, they don't listen to the podcast.
Agree. Like, when you say, how are you? Let's be honest. Nobody cares.
No, it's just because it's non-committal.
So what? Nobody cares. Everybody wants to hear exactly, I'm all right. Nobody wants to hear, oh, I'm not doing so good. Well, what's wrong? Well,
I want to hear
really
that.
grinding my...
I wish people would tell me that
Nobody wants to hear that.
I want to know about people's problems. Why wouldn't you?
No. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to get involved in somebody else's problems. Everybody wants to hear that things are just fine, and that's it. Move on with life.
I think you're in a
especially
silo
if you don't know
like
the
this.
Person.
I'm sorry, but I think you are in a silo when it comes to this, because I actually genuinely do like when people tell me stuff.
No, but not in a greeting like that. That's the thing. But not in a greeting
well,
like that.
Obviously
it's
not
fine.
To a
if
stranger.
you and I are talking, and I want to know how you're doing, right? But if it's just a very quick...
Well, yeah, like I said, if you're walking on the street...
No, I don't care. Just say good and leave.
If someone greets you on the street, yeah, you're not going to go into a diatribe about your problems, but...
But it's not even on the street. I would say in the majority of situations, that greeting is just a good, how are you? That's it. If you're talking with a business colleague, the only time where you'd want to go into it is if you're talking to a friend or a family member. That's it.
But I mean, if you're talking to a business colleague, why even say anything? Just be like stone cold silent. And, they ask you how you are. You just look at them. You stare at them.
That's probably not right.
This is professional business behavior.
No, I don't think it is.
What's with the pleasantries? No. We don't need greetings like that.
That's exactly what it is. So you just hit exactly what it is. That's called a pleasantry. That's all it is. It's a pleasantry. It's not some deep, meaningful philosophical conversation. It's not some deep conversation about life. It's not going into the problems you're having at home. Nobody wants to hear that. Like I said, friends and family. That's it.
Well, then it's strange for you to dismiss my friend for saying that. If I'm speaking to him, he probably wants to hear more than just I guess
that's
right.
True. Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess it is lazy with your friend. Yeah.
And then I also often tell people I can't complain, and then I hear back sometimes, well, sure you can. Of course you can. And I mean, it's nice. It's nice when people remind you that you can, but
they don't want you to.
No, that's not true. It's just I find it difficult because I think I genuinely don't have anything to complain about. It's one of those things where I think people find it strange, right? Where it's like, if you say you can't complain, it's always taken to mean, well, at least the people I know, it's taken to mean as if you're being sarcastic about it. Like people make a joke like, oh, I can't complain, just taking it one day at a time in the context of something negative. And I never mean it that way. I don't actually mean it in a negative way. But I think people assume that I do.
Yeah, but that's kind of what it means, though.
Does it?
If you're going to use a colloquialism, you have to...
What if I don't know the colloquialism?
You have to use it in the... Then don't use the fucking phrase, Raji.
You gotta take these phrases and change them up back to their original meanings before the sarcasm hit.
I don't think taking it one day at a time means that it's a particularly rough time anyways. I think it's more like...
You don't look too far ahead.
There's nothing going on, it's neither good nor bad. You're just living life. That's it. You're living life.
Mm-hmm. Not your best life, just life.
And that's the thing, is not everybody's going to live at their peak. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to live at your peak 100% of the time. You're probably not even going to live at your peak 50% of the time. That's just not the human condition. Every day you're going to have, I would think the average person who goes out of their house, who has a job, etc. I mean, if you just spend all day at home playing video games or whatever, maybe not, but you're going to encounter something that bothers you or aggravates you or annoys you or stresses you out or just as a minor inconvenience. You're not going to live at the peak. I think the average condition is just, the average condition is just average. There's hills and valleys and they come very quickly.
It's like a roller coaster.
That's right.
Life is like a roller coaster.
That's why I don't really understand, and I guess you can't put yourself into other people's shoes, in a lot of cases, but I don't really understand people who try to kill themselves because of something that a rough patch. To go into the serious aspect of it, because I just think like even if you have a long stretch of suck, it's not always going to be suck. It can't always be suck, and that's not the way out. Especially if people who love you. And I know there's other things that complicate that, right? But I'm a strong advocator. Like if you do feel that way, talk to somebody, get your help. Especially friends and all that. Like a lot of people say, "Oh, they don't see it coming. They don't see it coming." I'm not, victim blaming or anything like that. But I mean, if you really are that low, talk to somebody. And we live in a day and age where if you genuinely feel you don't have somebody to talk to, there are thousands of people on the internet whose being is so, let's say, pure that they will literally seek out these communities and these people and genuinely be a friend for you, and genuinely mean it and genuinely be a friend for you. And there's so many resources. So I mean,
And not
if you're
just to
in that
get karma on Reddit.
and not just get, yeah, there are actually people who are not, I just get karma on Reddit. I like to call people dip on Reddit, and because that's what a lot of them are. But there's some very genuinely pure people in the world on Reddit, on Twitter, on whatever. And help in 2025 is around the corner. So if you really do feel that way, and that's what I mean, like it's not suck all the time. It's not suck all the time, and we're also interconnected that you can very quickly, I don't want to say easily, but quickly find somebody who should be able to put that into perspective for you, regardless of how badly you think your perspective is. That's how I always look at it. When I'm feeling down, I just, I do try to think like, and I've had bad periods. I've had periods where I thought about it, especially when I was younger. And you just always realize that or you don't always, it's very hard to, it can be very hard to, but you need to realize that it's not always bad. But and then the converse is, it's not always good. you know, some people say, I've been on a high for 2 months, and now all of a sudden, nothing's coming together, and I don't know what's going on. It's like that's just life, man. That's just life. It's ups and downs. And you gotta put it into perspective. We live 70 something years on average. It's not all good. It's sure as hell not all bad.
That's a good, what would this be called? It's one of those call your suicide hotline at the end of a film talking about
Yeah,
suicide. But we put it in the beginning.
there you go. We're just gonna
It's
throw.
all
We're just
it's
gonna.
all uphill from here,
That's
folks.
right. We're just gonna throw suicide at you in the first 10 minutes, and then it's all gonna be.
But I
It's all
mean,
gonna be great.
it's at least it's from the heart, you know. It's a good
Yeah,
statement to make.
absolutely.
I agree, though. But I can appreciate people who do struggle with with stepping back and finding that glimmer of hope. Because if you're in that, if you're in the midst of that darkness, you can't always convince yourself that, yeah, it'll get better, or it has to get better, or probabilistically speaking, it will get better.
And I'm not talking about the people. I'm not talking about the people who suffer from, a mental illness or even just depression, because those are actually medical conditions. I'm talking about people who literally just base these decisions on a rough patch.
Yeah, you broke your nail and you want to hang yourself. That's not good.
Yeah, well, all right. Yeah, something like that. I mean, I would hope that that's never been a thing, but maybe.
You never know. Honestly, I'm not, I'm not opposed to believing anything at this point.
Even bullying, like you see the people, kids are the worst, right? Because kids are so stupid. So you see the bullying, and you get the people to take their lives because of the bullying, and it's heartbreaking because, especially, I don't know how you perceived your elementary school life or your high school life. I thought I was relatively fine. I certainly feel that anything I got, I probably deserved. So certainly not bullying. So it's hard to speak from that perspective. But man, I just think like there were so many. There were not good times in high school. You know what I mean? And elementary school. And kids are and like I said, kids are so stupid, and they're so impulse driven and all that kind of stuff. And those ones, really deeply sadden me because when I hear about those, because here's the fact of the matter, man. Especially if you're in high school, man, you got nowhere to go but up. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter how good your high school is. You got nowhere to go but up when you're an adult and you're autonomous and, like 4 years of bullying. I know it seems like an eternity and I know it seems like this is your life or whatever, but man, you step out of it. As soon as you step out of it, you realize how, foolish your thinking of that is.
Well, that's why I'm wondering why people often say, or people used to often say, "Oh, high school will be the best years of your life," but that clearly
I
isn't
think it's
true
because
for
you
many
just fuck
people.
around, right? You're old enough
Uh,
to do things and you're old enough to be free.
But I didn't feel that way because I still had to, like I was still under pressure to do well enough to be able to get into university with a scholarship. So I still had that pressure on me. And even university was similar. It's only when I finished all that stuff where it's like, yeah, now I can relax.
Yeah, it makes sense. But I think I mean I get it because like I said, I mean you have pressure to do well in school or whatever. Nowadays that's we've talked about it before, that's not necessarily true everywhere. But I think it was a period of time where you were going to party. It's really when you were fun and you didn't have to be accountable other than your school. You didn't have to be accountable to anybody. Like you were, especially in university, like you're free. Yeah, you got to keep up with school and all that, but nobody really at that point even looks at you like an adult then. But as soon as you're out of university, it's like you're going into the working world. What you do here matters. This is where you're making money for yourself. This is where you're, starting a family and have to be a parent, have to be responsible maybe for another kid, for another child. I think in some ways high school and university or college are most certainly can be looked at if you're in that time frame or if you're in that frame of mind as being the best years of your life, quote unquote. But I think in a lot of ways they're not.
I think I've regressed to my high school years then, given all you said.
Why?
I feel like was more of an adult in my university years than I am now. Like I do the adult things that I need to do, but otherwise, not so much.
I think you and I are not the best.
We're not the average case of an adult.
We're 30, we're 35, 36. We don't have families, we don't have our own families. We're not responsible to anybody but ourselves. I would say we're most certainly not the average 30 some odd year olds. A lot of people get it out in high school and college and the parties and all that. And, I know you and I never did a lot of parties. So, I mean, maybe that also affects that perspective too. But, a lot of people are out partying every weekend or every other weekend and all that kind of stuff too. So, which you can't do once you're an adult in most cases. Whereas you and I kind of have the irregular experience where, yeah, we were free in university and we had that, pressure to do well in school from our families or otherwise. And now that we're an adult, like I said, we're not the traditional. So we just have to, so we get to do what we want,
Yeah, exactly. We're living our best life.
That's right. We get to stay up till 4 a.m. watching movies to review for a podcast for a dozen viewers. Yeah.
Funny enough, I actually watched the movie this morning. Oh, yeah.
What'd you watch this morning?
No, I watched the movie that we needed to watch.
Oh,
for
you
the
watched
podcast.
the movie this morning. All right. So no, it's right fresh in your mind, like post sleep.
No hallucinations from me. Not this time. Lucid, completely lucid.
I watched a little bit of Monster Hunter this morning. Apparently there was a Monster Hunter movie, which I completely forgot about. I remember why I forgot about it because it's a fucking terrible movie.
Wait, this was the live action, right?
Yeah.
Ah, the same actress as in the Resident Evil live action movies.
Same. Well, okay, so this was part of my whole fucking gripe, right? Because it's the same actress and it's the same director, writer, whatever. They're married.
Yep.
So W.S. Anderson hasn't. I looked it up. W.S. Anderson met Mila Jovovich on Resident Evil in 2002. W.S. Anderson. This is not Wes Anderson. This is W.S. Anderson. W.S. Anderson has done 12 movies since, including that 2002 Resident Evil. He did a few movies before, which he was quite acclaimed for. He's done 12 movies since 2000, between 2002 and 2025. 9 of them have starred Mila Jovovich.
Wow, he just wants to, put her in the movies. That's all.
And those 9 are not entirely shitty video game adaptations, but the majority of them are. Because, right, he did the Resident Evils, and apparently there's like fucking 6 of them, which I don't understand because they were garbage from number 1. But apparently they were commercial successes.
Exactly. People love Mila Jovovich.
I feel like that's not true. I don't know if that's... Is it true? Like, I feel like it's not true.
I think it is.
I don't think she's a good actress.
But yeah, but she appeals to the nerds. She appeals to specifically the movie nerds. Probably the ones who play the video games, they're kind of but the ones who like to see a sexy main character that's female in an action movie, that's right up their alley. You don't get that often, I think, right? With actresses, most of the time it's like a male lead for these roles, and so you have only a handful. You can just count them on one hand. I think the number of these female actresses, these actresses that can play these roles, or that do play these roles.
I was gonna say, because there's a difference, because I don't think she can play these roles.
Well,
that's the thing.
She's as good as you get.
I don't know.
Right?
I'm not a movie buff, so it's hard to like.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's hard to say like this is what people think, but
they're not necessarily good movies, but they appeal to that audience, that niche, which is big enough that it speaks for itself, I guess. Because how well did it do? How well did that movie do? Do you have the statistics?
Monster Hunter failed.
Well, okay, no, but Resident Evil, the first Resident Evil, the one that started all this.
It did pretty good. I think it did something like 140 million versus a 40 million budget or something like that.
Right. Okay. And then maybe the second one also did pretty well.
Yeah, they all made more money than they spent. So they were all I don't know. I only checked the first like 3 or 4, and like I said, there's 6 or something like that. I don't think I checked the last ones. But I don't know if it was because of Mila Jovovich. Like, I don't know what it was because.
It was a perfect storm of her along with the source material that they butchered.
I feel like, yeah, they definitely butchered the source material. Absolutely, they did. But I don't know. I feel like the cause and effect is kind of backwards, because I just feel like she was just shoved down everybody's throats in those Resident Evil movies and in the W.S. Anderson movies, that people are just like, oh, okay, why not? You know, she's doing them. You know, I guess better her than somebody who hasn't. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's what it just shove her into the role, because like I was watching Monster Hunter. Like I didn't watch very much of it, but I was watching Monster Hunter. Like, I'm like, this isn't good. First of all, the movie sucks, but I'm like, this isn't good. And, you know, Mila Jovovich, she wasn't even an actress when she came up, right? She was a model or something like that.
Well, there you go. Now she's an up and coming actress.
And then throw her into, she's 50 years old, by the way.
Well, she's 50 years old now, yeah. But back then, she was an up and coming actress, and people were like, "Yeah, we're rooting for you, girl."
Man, I don't get it. I don't get it. Anyways, I hate hiring. I hate hiring decisions like that, and there's a few in Hollywood.
We hate nepotism. That's the word for it, right? Nepotism.
I do hate nepotism, period. But I think nepotism
not
only applies
nepotism.
to,
That's a Freudian slip. Nepotism.
I didn't say nepotism. I think nepotism only applies to. I don't know if it applies to husband and wife. I was gonna say family members,
but that counts, right?
Members. I don't know if it counts.
It
I don't know if
should
it's
count,
because I know it doesn't. It doesn't apply to friends apparently. So it's not called it's not nepotism if like you hire your friend or something. Like if I hired you on my company, it wouldn't be nepotism. There's another term for it. I don't know what it is.
No, it says here, nepotism is the practice among those with power or influence favoring relatives, friends, or associates, especially by giving them jobs.
Oh, okay. There you go. I don't know. The definition I had was does not include friends.
Oh, but now this dictionary says it's based on kinship. I don't know what kinship means.
Yeah, family. That's family, and that's why I said I don't know if that includes husband wife. I don't know if that's technically.
Does kinship actually only mean family though?
I think so. I don't know.
What if it's?
I guess a kin.
No, it is. Yeah, no, it is according to Cambridge. But then this other dictionary says it's not.
Yeah, I don't know. The definition I always had in my I'll use it for friends because I'm like that's the only word I know for it, right? But I just know that. Or I guess I shouldn't say I know because the dictionaries say different stuff, but. You know, I always thought it was just beholden to family members.
I guess it also depends what you like, because, you know, a family can have adopted individuals, right? Would those count,
Sure.
even though they're not blood related?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, that's where it kind of falls apart. I'm not sure what it is, but I do hate nepotism. I really, really, really hate nepotism. I hate nepotism. We got nepotism at my workplace. I hate it. It's very difficult to navigate if you're not in that circle. But in Hollywood, man, it's a pain in the ass. That's probably the worst one. Seth MacFarlane's another bad one. He does a lot of nepotism stuff. A lot of people would say he made some very questionable decisions on casting on the Orville.
But you love that show.
Oh no, it was a great series. I don't necessarily agree with it, but a lot of people did. That's what I saw a lot of people say. Especially in I think it was the last season. where he hired his, new flavor of the month. And apparently she was a lot of people thought she was really bad. I didn't find much wrong with her, but a lot of people thought she was a really bad actress.
Oh, so he's a womanizer? He has a new fling every now and then?
Yeah, I think the first 2 or 3 seasons he was dating one girl who was on it, and she was really good, and everybody thought she was really good. And then when they broke up, she left.
Well,
so that's
makes
how
sense, I guess.
toxic they're. Does it though? Like it's like that kind of shows you like how much it was personal versus professional, right?
It would be though.
It shouldn't be.
But I think it's always like that, especially in a because he's in the show, right? He's one of the actors, so I can't imagine that would go over well.
Probably not. And then the next season, he brought on the new flavor of the month, who everybody said was not a good actress, and really to replace her, but not like a 1-to-1. You know what I mean? Like didn't put her in the same role, right? It wasn't like a replacement of a character. It was just they brought her in.
Oh, it wasn't just they didn't pull a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Here's Aunt Vivian in season 3, and here's Aunt Vivian in season 4. No, she was a new character.
All right, okay.
But everybody thought she was bad, and then she ended up dying at the end anyways. But...
Wow, he takes his breakups pretty brutally. Kills the actress.
Yeah. No, it was like a heroic death, though. Everybody was like, she doesn't deserve this. And like I was reading the reviews for that episode. Everybody was like, she doesn't deserve this send-off. And she was such a shitty character, and she was a shitty actress. And like it was crazy.
It's like a soap opera.
Yeah. But and then on American Dad, I don't know what his relationship status is like, because on American Dad, the voice actress for he plays the voice of Stan, the main character, and his wife in the show is his wife in real life, maybe his ex-wife, or maybe he just has an open relationship or something. Like because her name is still McFarlane.
Maybe they're unrelated, same name.
No, she's actually his wife.
Well, maybe she's oblivious to the fact.
Oh, maybe she did go back. Hold on, let me look. Wendy Shaw. No, it's not. Okay, I was wrong. My bad. All right, I retract that. I thought, it's the daughter. Oh, but is the daughter?
Oh, wow, geez. So okay, so he's with the daughter.
The daughter is the daughter. Oh no, the brother. Oh, okay, all right. I don't understand the
You went through the whole family.
I don't understand the McFarlane family tree here.
McFarlane is a common name. The daughter on the show
is. Okay, I thought his wife was his wife in real life. I don't know why I thought that, but it's his sister who plays his daughter.
So he's sleeping with his sister? What?
Well, maybe. Okay, I don't understand the McFarlane family tree, I guess.
I don't think McFarlane understands it either.
About that. I guess I just never looked it up. But all right. I retract that part about American Dad. But the Orville stuff is still true. That I know is true. Yeah, I hate stuff like that. I just want it. Get the best person. I guess I shouldn't say that in light of all this stuff that happened in the U.S. this week. But I doubt Mila Jovovich is the best person to play in a Monster Hunter. The Monster Hunter movie is so bad though. But
who would you cast instead?
The thing is, I wouldn't have written the movie like that.
Yeah, but let's assume that you're forced to pick somebody because you weren't doing the writing. You're given the script and you're told you gotta cast somebody.
If I had to pick somebody, I don't know who are good action heroines in 2025.
Wait, how recent is the movie?
2020.
Oh, it is pretty recent. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, who was big in 2020?
Like when you mentioned like, oh yeah, there weren't a lot of, or there aren't a lot of female action.
There weren't a lot back then. There are more now though.
There's more now for sure. But like when I think of like female action people who I, who I really do like, I like somebody like Jessica Biel. She didn't do a lot of action stuff, but she did some action stuff. Blade really put her on the map in that kind of a role. So like, I favor somebody like that, but also, that's also kind of an old hire, an older actress. So I guess it's hard to put her there. I don't know who I would put in there nowadays. Like I said, I'm not really familiar with too many female action people these days. Oh, she's on IMDb's. She's number 1 on IMDb's list. Mila Jovovich. I don't put too much stock into this though, because fucking Angelina Jolie is number 2. There were some good ones. Like I don't know.
So what about Sophie Turner? Would she pull it off?
Wait, is she the one from X-Men? No, her.
I know you love her though. Come on, no. You always sing her praises with Dark Phoenix.
No, that'd be worse than you chose like There's like two people. There's like two famous actors in the world who I'd put below Mila Jovovich. Sophie Turner is one of them.
Yeah, that's why it inspired me to say it because I knew that it would get a rise out of you. The alternative would be Jennifer Lawrence, who also played in that film.
Jennifer Lawrence is
everybody seems to love Jennifer Lawrence.
I do like Jennifer Lawrence, but I don't know how much. Like, I don't put her really in the same like action heroine category as like Mila Jovovich. Like I said, nowadays I don't know. Back in the day, man, like you say there weren't a lot, but I think there were a lot more like well-known ones than today, like Sigourney Weaver, Linda Hamilton, Jamie Lee Curtis. Those were big ones. I would say those three alone are bigger than anything in 2025. If you want to go into the 90s, like Sarah Michelle Gellar, maybe. Although she's really only known, I don't know how much actual action stuff she's done, but you know.
Yeah, I wonder who the equivalent of Jackie Chan is as a female.
Oh, I saw a thing on this not that long ago. Somebody who was able to keep up with Jackie Chan.
Well, either Jackie Chan or Jet Li or Jason Statham, you know, those people, the ones who actually like do their own stunts and full-on action roles.
I read something or saw something not that long ago, like a week or two ago, about somebody who was like able to keep up with Jackie Chan.
Like a famous person, not just somebody on YouTube.
Yeah, an actress. Yeah, no, an actress. But I don't remember who it was. But even, you know, I guess she was doing something with Jackie Chan. Even he was really impressed how much she kept up with him.
Oh, maybe it's the girl who played in the Rush Hour movies.
No, it was recent.
Oh, I mean, she's still pretty young, I think.
If I look up female Jackie Chan, Michelle Yeoh comes up a lot as somebody who, I guess, apparently is somebody who's changed Jackie Chan's opinion on female action stars.
Oh, he's a misogynist, is he?
Oh, Jackie Chan's a huge piece of shit, apparently.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, this Zhang Ziyi, she's also like a Hong Kong star, I guess, from those old days.
If I look up Zhang Ji, how do you spell that? Because if I look up Zhang Ji, it just comes up with Shang-Chi. And I'm like, that's
it's,
that's probably not
ZHANG-ZIYI.
Yeah, maybe it was this girl.
She has been in quite a few kung fu type movies. Although I can't say if like she does her own stunts and all that, like Jackie Chan's team.
I was gonna say I thought it was a younger girl, but I mean this girl looks pretty young, even though she's 45.
Hey, she's Chinese, you know. They go backwards as they age.
No, they don't go backwards. It's like
they freeze
really slow until they hit like 65, and then it's like overnight they wake up as a grandma.
Well, wouldn't you want that? I don't know. I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, that'd be all right. Like if I like looking at this girl, I would guess she's like 32. She's 45. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like I said, I don't watch a lot of modern movies. Just what we, pull on our thing.
Yeah, maybe we'll get Resident Evil one of these times.
I was thinking today. I was like, if we pull a W.S. Anderson movie, would I even like participate?
Come on, you gotta do it. Maybe it'll be one of the good ones. You said that there's a chance that it's gonna be a good one.
I never said.
You said that only some of them are crappy video game adaptations, so the other ones must be decent.
Oh no, because the other ones are just crappy movies that are not video game adaptations. Yeah. That's what I meant by that.
Well, maybe it'll be one of the ones before Resident Evil when he was still making good stuff, I guess.
There was only one good movie since he made Resident Evil in his list, and that was Alien vs. Predator.
Maybe we'll roll that one. Who knows?
I like that movie. I'll watch that movie again. I like those movies. Anyway, speaking about the times, I finished watching Last Man Standing, which was Tim Allen, right? Not his newest one, because he has a new series now that just started like a few weeks ago. But the one before that, between Home Improvement and this, he did Last Man Standing, which was pretty much Home Improvement, but not Home Improvement with girls. The whole family was girls.
Including him,
and he cross-dressed. Yeah.
I'd like to see that.
So anyways, I recently finished it, and I was like, I'm going to go back and start watching Home Improvement, because like my rose-tinted goggles...
Oh, it was a classic show, right?
Yeah, my rose-tinted goggles thought that it would still hold up. And so I started watching that this week, and it still holds up very well. And it's so wild to see the difference between a sitcom in the early 90s and a sitcom in the 2010s. Because it's just like all the sitcoms in the 2010s now follow like the Big Bang Theory formula, where it's like do a one-liner, stop for a laugh. Do a one-liner, stop for a laugh. Do a one-liner, stop for a laugh. Like I don't know if you've ever seen those videos where they take out all the laugh track, right?
It's very boring without the laugh track.
Yeah. It's very boring with the laugh track.
No, but like at least if you're predisposed to laughing when other people laugh, you're gonna at least get some benefit out of it.
True. So even like Last Man Standing was like that, which I thought was wild. Going back to home. So going back to Home Improvement, like everything was so natural. It wasn't one-liners. It was like a natural flow to like conversations, and they just let characters like talk and like joke amongst themselves and do what seemed like going off script a little bit. Like when Tim and Jill would like act like a couple. It felt like real. And same with the boys. Like when the boys were running around and they were interacting with each other, but also with Tim and them, like it felt so real. And I'm just like, man, can we just go back to this style of sitcom? And there's not laughing every 5 seconds. Like there's laughing, of course, because it's a studio show. There's laughing, of course, but it's much further apart, and they just kind of keep going through it for most of the time. They just keep acting through it. And I'm just like, man, go back to this, because this is just so much of a better style of comedy, of sitcom, I guess, than what we have today.
Yeah, I guess people don't want that. They want the laughs. They want the punchline and then the laughs. The punchline, the joke, the punchline, laugh. Joke, punchline, laugh. That's what they want.
And crappy stereotypes. That's the other thing too. Like in Last Man Standing, the show wasn't terrible, but like the girls especially were like so like Nickelodeon. Like the way they acted was so Nickelodeon. It's hard to, or Disney Kids or whatever. It's so hard to like describe what I mean by that. You just kind of have to know what that
means. Like Hannah Montana, back before she was a drug user.
But not even necessarily Hannah Montana. Maybe Hannah Montana, but I'm thinking things like Zach and Cody, like those ones. The ones that I don't know if was Hannah Montana in front of a live studio audience or laugh tracked.
I think so. I don't know. I think they were all in that same.
But I'm thinking like iCarly and Zach and Cody and that kind of stuff. But that's what it's like, where everything is like over exaggerated and has this weird like chippy tone to it. It doesn't matter what the emotion is. There's like this weird chippy tone to it.
Everybody's on something. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. And the dialogue is so unnatural. And I'm just like, oh.
Well, again, it's played up for the kids, I feel, in those cases. I don't know why you're getting that from this show. It's not meant for kids, right?
No, it's not, but that's what it is. And I'm just like, is that maybe what the current comedy?
Maybe the kids have training in that style, and that's why they play it that way.
Maybe.
And nobody directed them.
But even as adults,
because they grew up.
The show was 9. They started as teenagers. So, and the show went on for 9 years.
So they grew up from Disney Kids into SNL.
No, not even. I don't even think it was SNL. Like,
yeah,
I still feel like they were just Disney
too.
Kids.
It's the same problem.
They
SNL is also
do.
Uncannily real, like unrealistic.
Yeah. And then in the last 2 seasons, I think they added a Chinese girl, and of course she had the fakest Chinese accent ever.
Yeah. You got to have that. people, you see a Chinese person, you're not expecting them to speak English fluently. That's not a thing in America.
But it was fluid though. It was just a mix between a shitty Chinese accent and
so they forced the
Nickelodeon
accent, is what you're saying.
And Nickelodeon, yeah,
they do that.
I was like, well, maybe she's Chinese, but then I looked it up. She's American. So why
so you have an American Chinese who probably doesn't speak Chinese, forcing a stereotypical Chinese accent.
Although she did speak a little bit of Chinese in the show, so she must speak Chinese. She must be like first generation or whatever.
Is she though? I sometimes hear people speak Russian, and I'm like, oh, maybe this guy's Russian. And then I hear them speak Russian, and I'm thinking,
that's true. If you don't speak the language, you don't really know. Yeah.
And then you get people like Keanu Reeves, who actually tries his best despite not speaking Russian. And then you hear him speaking it in John Wick, and it's like, oh, wow, you did a good job. Surprising.
There you go. Some people try. So anyways, moral of the story is, if you're going to watch Tim Allen, and then I watched a couple episodes of the new Tim Allen show, what's it called? Shifting Gears, I think, with Kat Dennings. Man, Kat Dennings, she's another one, though. She's another one who's just like, I don't want to see you on my screen because you're so
Kat Dennings?
Like, she did Two Broke Girls.
Well, I know of this show, but I don't care.
Yeah, and she did something else.
Oh, she was in Thor, apparently.
Was she?
Yeah. I don't know who she played there.
I don't know who she played there. Oh, I think she was Natalie Portman's friend, one of the weather scientists with her. But she's 40 years old or something now, and but she still has the Nickelodeon.
38. She's 38.
Whatever. Well, okay,
Give her some
38, sorry.
credit. She's a
But she
woman. She
still
doesn't
has
want to
the
be no.
Nickelodeon.
She doesn't want to be told she's 40 yet.
Whatever. She still has that like Nickelodeon and this Nickelodeon thing with her. And the worst part is that she's supposed to play like this kind of rebellious, kind of badass, down on her luck thing. But she just kind of plays this prissy. But the way that she acts, it just comes off as like this, prissy goody two shoes who's trying too hard. So I don't know. Comedy in 2025 is just a wholly different thing. But you know what? I will say Home Improvement still very much stands up. It still very much stands up.
That's a good thing then for you. Rewatching it and your rose tinted goggles, they could be fake lenses and you'd still appreciate it.
That's right. So I've only watched a few episodes so far, but it's been good. Right out of the gate, it's been good. I'll be interested to see how it changes as we get to the late seasons. See if it starts to adapt a newer style of comedy. Because 91 was good. 91 was good because that was like Cosby Show. What else was in like the early 90s?
Fresh Prince?
Seinfeld, Fresh Prince, that kind of stuff, which it was much more natural. But towards the end of the 90s, that's when you had like Roseanne. That's when the Dan Schneider, is that who it was? Who was the Big Bang Theory showrunner? Chuck Lorre. That's when the Chuck Lorre comedy started. So that's when comedy started shifting, was like in the late 90s.
It's all thanks to him.
It pretty much is. This is the Chuck Lorre style of comedy. Yeah. So I'll be interested to see if like Home Improvement, because it ran from 91 to 99, if it started to adapt that style a little bit towards the back end.
Well, you'll have to let us know.
But it'll take a while. I think I started watching Last Man Standing like 8 months ago or something like that. It was a long time ago. By the time I finally got through all 9 seasons. I will appreciate that, though, that it had fucking full, 22 episode seasons.
Oh, as opposed to nowadays how it's very short seasons.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 10, 30-minute episodes. Like, oh, thanks for showing up for one day of filming, guys. What we do in the shadows is like over as soon as it starts. Like, I hate watching that shit. It's over now, but I got one more season to watch. I'll crank it out in like a day because it's like an hour of runtime for the full season. That drives me up a wall. You can't even commit to a show anymore because it's over before you even begin. At this point, I'm just like, just build it up for me. I'll watch it when it gets to season 6. At least that way it'll last me a week. All right. Speaking of media.
That's right.
Speaking of mental illness.
Let's talk about The Soloist.
That's right. The Soloist.
2009.
2009 comedy starring Robert Downey Jr. and Jamie Foxx. It's based on a true story about a journalist who befriends a schizophrenic music prodigy.
Then you said comedy, right?
When did I say comedy?
You just said comedy.
Did I say comedy?
You did. It's because I joked about it last time, saying this must be a comedy. But no, it was not a comedy.
It was not a comedy. Did I actually say comedy?
You did. But I blame myself.
All right. No, it's not a comedy. It's a true story.
Indeed.
True story. Maybe I meant to say true story and I have my
comedy,
mind
true
on
story. It's all the
still.
same, It doesn't matter.
It's based on a true story about a journalist who befriends a schizophrenic music prodigy and helps him get back on his feet. What do you think about it?
I liked it. I enjoyed the first part of it more than the latter half. It was interesting because they actually did a pretty good job portraying schizophrenia. I was trying to look up like accuracy of movies portraying schizophrenia, and there's so many mixed opinions. I can't get a straight answer about like, is this actually a good representation? But from what I've read about schizophrenia, for the most part, it's auditory hallucinations exactly the same way that they were portrayed in the movie, where Nathaniel just hears stuff and it's like God speaking to him almost. But it's all negative things. It's like, basically things that are telling him that the world is bad and so on. And the other thing is, the other accurate aspect of it is people with the disorder, they tend to have conspiratorial thinking where it's like the world is out to get them, which is why in the movie, he refuses to eat the soup that his sister makes because he thinks it's going to it's acid. It's going to kill him. I think they did a good job with that. That was one of the things I was interested in seeing. Would they actually portray it correctly? And based on at least a few sources online and just from reading about it myself, seems like they did a pretty good job, which I appreciate.
Yeah, that's what I heard is that the portrayal was pretty good. I don't know anybody with schizophrenia.
No, I don't speak from personal experience. It's just from reading about it. Because I always compare it to Beautiful Mind. A Beautiful Mind is a wonderful movie. It's probably one of my favorite movies. I used to watch that multiple times when I was younger.
Right.
And even though that movie was entertaining to me, I know that they did not do a good job representing what it was actually like for John Nash. But
I
whatever.
don't think it was overly understood back then. I
Well,
think that's
yeah. I mean, it was a while ago as well. Yeah, but I mean, 2009 technically was also not overly well understood, I guess, since that's still quite a ways away. And also, I've read that the director, he actually he hired people from Skid Row as extras and consultants and everything to try to get it to be as authentic as possible when portraying homeless life in greater Los Angeles.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So it's pretty authentic, as depressing as that is given the content of the film.
Yeah, yeah. No, I thought the actors were top notch. I thought Robert Downey Jr. did a good job. I thought Jamie Foxx did a very good job. I think the hardest thing with true story movies is that you don't really get a satisfactory conclusion.
Yep.
I think we saw that with Beautiful Boy also, is that there wasn't a satisfactory conclusion. Same with this one. You're kind of hoping like, oh, he'd go on his meds because, I've heard a lot of cases of, schizophrenia can be controlled, in large situations. And it's when people like forget to take their medicine, they wander off. Like I've heard lots of stories of people who forgot to take their medicine, wander off, and you never see them again because they don't have the faculties to come home and reestablish that. So, part of me was expecting that he would, get on medicine, become kind of a normally functioning member of society. And that wasn't the case.
One of the things that they unfortunately did not include in the movie, after I'd read about the real story, is that when he was younger, they tried to treat him with electroconvulsive therapy, which, for anybody who doesn't know, is like they basically shock your brain. And I think, with medication as well. And you do see a glimpse of that where you see pills all over in his room in the basement.
Right.
But it's because of that I think he had he was averse to seeking any sort of medical help at that point. And unfortunately, they didn't really talk about it much in the movie. Whereas I think in the book that this is all based on and the story itself, they go into more detail about it. Apparently, there was also a part in the book or just in real life where, like, in the lead up to even a friendlier relationship between the two of them, Steve, the journalist, he invites Nathaniel to an Easter dinner because in real life, Steve is actually married. That's the other little change that they made. So, because in the movie, he's divorced, he's working for his ex-wife at the newspaper, but he's divorced and he's like all alone and stuff. But in real life, he's actually married. And so he invited and had Nathaniel over for Easter dinner or something like that.
Would that have been in the same time period though? Because I feel like this was a very narrow time period.
It was. I think it was. Again, I was reading like a follow-up to, well, where are you now kind of situation. And he said in the interview, this Steve fellow, he said how, or maybe not him saying it, but they talked about how there was more happening in that time frame than just what you see in the movie, that I think if they put in the movie, it would have made it more fleshed out. Like, I think the movie had certain parts that could have been removed in place of some of the more useful things. So instead of the coyote urine hanging part, which was funny, I gotta admit, it was funny. It got a laugh out of me. Instead of that, they could have included something more relevant to the story.
Yeah, I don't know what the full story is. Beyond that, I looked up a little bit of stuff afterwards. Nathaniel didn't end up keeping his apartment. He's now in a mental institution.
Oh, okay. So I didn't read that far ahead.
I just read a couple articles that Lopez did in the last few years. He still writes. He still writes for the LA Times.
LA something, yeah. Probably LA Times.
And, he still does a lot of articles about poverty on the streets and street life. and he uses Nathaniel Ayers to connect a lot of that. He didn't mention he was in a mental institution as of, I think, 2021 or something like that. Was hospitalized for a bit. Had some issues with nursing homes. Like they're both old. Like they're both like 70 or something like that now.
Oh, really? So they must have been older then in 2009 than what the movie portrays.
Yeah, Nathaniel Ayers is 74 now, and Lopez is, I think, might even be like 80. No, Lopez is 72. So around the same age. So yeah, they're a fair bit older than what the movie showed. So I want to look it up after. I looked it up afterwards because I wanted to know, if there was a happier ending to be had, and not really. I mean, I guess he's living. And they talked about him being in the institution, and he's still the same. He's got his days. Some days he's willing to take medicine, some days he's not. Some days I remember it saying some days he wants to get out, some days he doesn't. I think that was the most unfortunate part of the movie, was that there was no ending, and like even if you look it up, there's still no ending. But it does speak to. Go ahead.
No, it's a very bad disorder. It's because if I compare it to Beautiful Boy could have a good ending in the sense that you get off the drug and you fix your life.
Which is what happens. So, I mean, down the road outside of the movie.
Which, again, I'm assuming that's what happened, right? I think we talked about that.
Yeah, he got off and he's a family man and all that now. Yeah.
But in this case, schizophrenia, even with treatment, you never get rid of it. You can just kind of hold it back, I guess, with medication.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I guess he's lived a goodish life. He's played for presidents. He's played for a lot of other people. One thing I thought was interesting was he was in a school orchestra at Juilliard, Nathaniel Ayers, with Yo-Yo Ma.
Indeed. Yeah.
So they were at school at the same time. I thought that was pretty cool. And they got to have a little bit of a reunion in the past. So, I mean, in that regard, he's a very talented man. He still is a very talented man.
Yeah, he played like 10 instruments from what I read. In the end, he they would go together, Nathaniel and Steve, they would go around different music shops and just he would buy musical instruments to start playing. So it's quite interesting. Among them, like trumpet, trombone, bassoon, flute, just everything. Whatever you can think of, he probably ended up playing.
So I think the strength of the movie is, and even follow-up articles from Lopez, I think the strength of the movie is homelessness really is not, it's a big problem. It's a big problem. How there's not these support systems in place for people like this nowadays. The US and Canada really deregulated institutions in, I don't remember what it was, the 80s or something like that. It ended up being that a lot of people who really needed help and could use help got thrown into the street, and there's no support system in place for these people. It's a big issue with these big encampments, and I've talked about the homeless people here, and we've joked about it before, but I'm sure a lot of those people that are homeless here are not necessarily druggies or felons or whatever, but they might be just people with medical issues, and it's a big institutional problem. People who are really talented, and we've seen this kind of story before. Like, what was it? The one that I remember was like he was a singer or something, or he had a really good voice, and he was homeless, and I guess somebody found him, and now he's like a radio DJ, and because he's just got this very distinctive voice, and it wasn't that long ago, maybe 5 or 10 years ago, that I remember reading about this, or maybe a singer or something like that. But sometimes this is just down on your luck stuff. It's a big problem. We'd rather put these people on the street and not give them the support they show. And they showed a little bit of support in the, where he was talking to that one guy, and he was like, well, I'm not going to, force him to do this, that, or the other thing. And, maybe that's not the way to do it. But I think I think there's better support systems. They tried to show what meager support there was, at least out in California. But even that's not really adequate.
Yeah, I think it's a big problem in LA, especially there's whole shanty towns where it's just homeless people.
Yep, it's a systemic issue. So I think if you take anything away from this story, it's that, it's not about one guy. It's about a societal issue. It really is.
Which I think actually, from what I read, this Steve, he wanted to. Well, I mean, it all started with him kind of he needed a story, and this was an interesting story, but it all eventually came to a point where it's like he really wants to help people, and he wants to make the world better by pointing a spotlight onto this problem, trying to humanize the situation, because it's true, like people when they think of homeless, they don't really, there's no humanity there. People kind of just ignore it, saying that, oh well, it doesn't affect me, but it's it's a human being for each one of those homeless people, right?
Yep. But I think a lot of them, and like I said, it's not even a lot of, bad people or whatever. It's just people who just have been abandoned by the system. It's not all druggies. It's not all, like I said, it's not all criminals. A lot of them are good people. A lot of them are good people down on their luck, or just people who can't do anything to help themselves, and nobody wants to help them instead. Anyways, King of the Hill, what do we got? Soloist or Pump Up the Volume?
So if the first half of the movie continued into the second half, I would have probably given it to the Soloist. But I did think that the second half it petered out enough that Pump Up the Volume is still top tier for me.
Very good.
But just barely. So, like the fact that it came close, I mean, not since Abduction have I seen something come this close.
I hate you so much.
And how about for you? This is actually really similar to Beautiful Boy.
It is very similar to Beautiful Boy. However, I thought Beautiful Boy was better.
All right.
I think Timothée Chalamet's performance was, top notch in that movie. I thought these performances were very good also. And I thought Beautiful Boy's plot was maybe a little bit more consistent.
Yeah, I think you're right, the narrative was better structured.
Yeah, so I think Beautiful, but I did really like this movie. But I think Beautiful Boy is keeping
Would this movie be your second? Like, because I don't remember what your second place was, but do you think Soloist is now second to Beautiful Boy?
Yeah, I think I could give this one second.
That's pretty good. This is your cup of tea then. It's a true story or something based on a true story where a journalist writes about some either mental disorder, drug addiction, something depressing.
No. I like good acting. I like it's gonna have good acting, if it has a good message, a good strong message to it. I like comedies, I like horrors. My favorite movie of all time is Green Mile.
Which is a comedy horror, right?
Absolutely, but that's my point. Like, I in general, I like comedies and horrors, but I would say some of my favorite movies are not in that genre, or in those genres. I do like things that speak a little bit, harder. Where I'll put things at the top. Green Mile, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is my favorite book. Yeah, I like stuff like this. I do like stuff like this, but it really is hit and miss because it's really hard. I think it's really hard to hit the pieces that it needs to hit to bring it together well. A comedy is comedy. It is what it is. They're stupid. They're not hard to mess up, but they're not easy to mess up either. Same with horrors. Whereas this kind, it's got to be really good. It's easy to fuck these kind of movies up.
Yeah, you got to be pretty surgical in your approach. Because that's probably why, like, I was wondering, it's a good movie. Why did it do so poorly? But I think, critically speaking, you know how the critics are. They're going to go in there and poke at every hole. And I think, critically speaking, it probably is not, it's not where it could be in that line of movie. Probably competing against other ones that are in this genre, it's probably not as good.
I was thinking about that too. Like, I really think that when critics, I don't know if we've talked about this before. I've talked about it with somebody. It might have been you, about critics maybe being more conscientious of what they review. I think when a critic reviews a movie like this, they really need to come at it from a different perspective than they come at from other movies. Because a lot of the criticism in the movie was, and you and I talked about it briefly, a lot of the criticism in the movie really was like the narrative and the lack of an ending, which I agree with, but I don't think that's going to turn an 8 out of 10 movie into a 4 out of 10. And I think critics need to be more conscious of that. Like, if you're going to tear down a movie like this, you better have a good reason to tear down a movie like this. And the fact that it's based on a true story doesn't necessarily contribute to a good Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 finale. So you can't criticize the movie for having a poor narrative plot or no climax or no true ending, because it's not supposed to be that. Like, if I got rid of the stuff that I really thought was unfair to this type of movie, it really left the reviews quite positive. but the average was still like a 4 point whatever. So I think critics, when they come at this, you really have to come at it from a different angle, and plot really should not matter. Is it close to the source material? Is it close to, the source material, the actual story, not to some Hollywood story? And I get you got to be objective or whatever, but objective, quote unquote, in a review means different things. Like, is the acting good? Is the portrayal of the situation good? That stuff matters. Absolutely, that stuff matters, but not a satisfying, plot. I don't think that matters. Certainly not much, anyways. Because I was watching it and like, why do people think this was not a good movie? And then I read some of the reviews and I'm like, yeah, I get it. I get why they say that, but it's just, I don't think it was fair to the movie.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely thought that it was reviewed harsher than it should have been.
Yeah.
And I think maybe they reviewed harsher because it's of that genre where it's like, oh, well, they expect more from it, right? They expect more from it than a comedy or a horror, so it's skewed. It's like, oh, we could give it an 8 out of 10, and we would if this was a comedy, but because it's a drama, no, it deserves way less.
Yeah. And again, the thing, critics really need to realize what their role is in this kind of stuff, because if you review something and say it's a D for something as important, as this and brings to light like a real issue, like, yeah, it's a drama, but it really has like a really strong message behind it. It's based on a true story, and it's, unlike a lot of based on a true story, it's relatively faithful to the true story. Like, you have to realize if you give something a D, people are specifically gonna skip it because you gave it a D. So there's also a level of societal responsibility that these critics are failing to achieve with something like that. I don't know. That's my opinion. Maybe I imagine, many people would disagree. It's a very good movie. Ignore the critic reviews because they don't know what they're talking about. It's a very good movie. All right, on to our next one. What do we got? Let's see. It's time. Random movie generator, take us away. Oh, hold on. There's 2 buttons. What is this? How come you always pull the serious movies and I pull like who the knows what?
I don't know.
Okay, the movie is North Dallas 40.
North Dallas
40.
40.
A 1979 sports film.
Oh.
Starring Nick Nolte, Mac Davis, and G.D. Spradlin.
Wow, look at that. These are the old timers.
This is an old one. Yeah.
It's going to have that 70s flair to it.
It's based on the best-selling 1973 novel, I'm assuming by the same name, and it's about a wide receiver for a football team.
Well, that's perfect. I know all about football.
This is the best time for it. The Super Bowl is next weekend, so everybody can go watch the Super Bowl, and then you all can go watch. Actually, this will air. Was there after the Super Bowl? Yeah, this would air after the Super Bowl. So you've all watched the Super Bowl. So now take a trip back in time, watch North Dallas 40 with us, in time for the next podcast. It's part drama, part comedy, part satire. It's a classic sports film, giving insight into the lives of professional athletes. Oh, apparently the novel it's based on is semi-autobiographical.
Only semi.
Only semi, yeah. All right, we'll see. It's different. It's certainly different. Oh, I gotta write this down, otherwise I'm gonna forget. It is unlike anything we've watched so far.
Yeah, sports movie.
You know what? Sometimes these are good. Like Caddyshack is a great sports movie.
No, I have nothing against sports movies. One of my favorite anime is actually a sports anime.
Oh, really?
It's about boxing.
Tsubasa? Oh.
No, that Tsubasa is about soccer, right?
Right, yeah.
No, yeah, it's about boxing.
There we go. All right, it's Pokemon time. It's Pokemon time.
No,
oh, no,
no.
It's not Pokemon time. It's Word of the Fortnite time. All right, go for it.
All right, the word of the fortnight this time around is boondoggle. Boondoggle. It's a noun. It's a wasteful or impractical project or activity. And my example is Concord was a boondoggle for Sony in the world of live service video games.
Podcast is my boondoggle.
Well, maybe. But I heard this word. Having recently finished playing Alan Wake 2, I heard this word in that game. It was said by the ever-elusive Agent Estevez.
Oh, f*** off. She's a boondoggle. I don't remember her. I don't remember her. I looked it up. I looked it up that night. I was like, where is Estevez in this game? And because I don't remember her in that game at all.
Just wiped from
And they
your
were like,
memory.
oh yeah, she's like, she's here, here, here. I'm like, I still don't fucking remember it. I don't remember. Like, okay, if I just figured she was like some random, no name, non-important FBI. What's the FBC agent? That's what I assumed she was, and I think I just wrote her off as just a nobody. You know what I mean? An extra. And because I don't remember. I don't remember. But all right, she said that. She said those words apparently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, boondoggle.
It's a good word. I've never heard it.
It's one of those words that you just assume is like a goofy nothing word. Right?
And yet it's actually apparently, it's a word. It's used. It seems like, based on the examples I've seen, it's used often for political, not political, but like whenever you're talking about big city-wide projects or like national projects where it's like, oh, this bridge or this museum or whatever, somebody's building infrastructure and it takes too long or it's too expensive, and hey, they call it a boondoggle. So I'm sure we have heard of it in news stories, but just kind of gloss over it.
All right, well, there you go. Now it's Pokemon time. It's Pokemon time. Do 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 do. We are ranking or putting up against each other the Pokemon cries of legendary Pokemon and Scyther. Today we start the third round, don't we?
Yes, the last of the 4 will be in the next round.
All right, so the first 3 are still round 2, and then the fourth one is round 3. Getting down to it. All right, here we go. So, matchup 61 between Pokemon 27 and 91. We don't know what the Pokemon are. You can find it on our website. Here we go. 27 and 91. 27.
That's a nice one. Like a vending machine.
It sounds like it's spitting something up.
No, it's like a vending machine.
Something up. Oh, yeah, maybe a vending machine. Yeah.
It's returning your cash back to you because it's...
Oh, there you go.
You got to straighten it out.
And 91.
No, I'm going to go with the vending machine.
Yeah, I think I like this one more. Yeah, I agree. They both sound like they're spitting something up.
Well, one of them sounds like it's spitting up a crystalline ball.
Yeah.
And the other one sounds like it's spitting out cash.
Yep, there you go. All right, 27's taking it. All right, number 62. This is the penultimate. I still like to use that word when I can. That's still my favorite word. The penultimate round 2 matchup. 11 and 54. Here's 11. Whoa.
It's just Tweety Bird. It's just a little bird.
I don't need to hear what 54 is. I'm voting for that one. All right, here's 54.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't need to hear that.
I'm going with the little tiny little bird chirping.
Yeah, I like that one. Quite happy with that. All right, 63. Here's the final matchup of round 2 between 22 and 43. Here's 22. And 43. That's Scyther.
How do you know?
I would bet my life that that's...
Well, you should,
I feel like I would
you
bet my life that that's Scyther.
I mean, come on, that's a lot. You got a lot writing on it then.
I really think that's Scyther. I think that's a Gen... it just sounds very basic.
It
to
could
me,
be
that
a Gen
sounds
1,
like a Gen
but it
1.
doesn't necessarily have to be Scyther.
But no, because in Gen 1, you only have the birds and Mewtwo and Mew, right?
Yeah, well, it could be
definitely
Zapdos.
Not any of those. No, it's not Zapdos. I don't know. I really feel like that's Scyther. I think I'd bet money on that. So that one or 43.
I don't like the first one because, again, it's like crystalline as always.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm going to go with 43.
I'm going to also go 43. I think it's a...
Because you want to get Scyther to win.
Because I want to get Scyther through. That's right.
He's not going to win,
I want to get
though.
Scyther
It's
through.
not my favorite of the ones we've heard, so...
No, that's... No. I don't think it's going to win.
I mean, he's going up against Tweety Bird next time.
It just sounds different than all the other ones we've listened to.
It's true.
It really
sounds
does.
more
just
basic.
Basic, like in quality. Yeah.
Maybe it's going to be a little bonus challenge.
Identify Scyther.
Yeah. So that's your guess.
I mean, we've heard them all now. So I'm saying 43 is Scyther. That's my guess. But regardless, it's moving on. It's the last winner of round 2. All right, here we go. Here's the first matchup of round 3. So these are all going to be Pokemon now that we have heard and that we have advanced through either the first round or the second round, or I guess in some cases both. We're into technically the bracket of winners. All right, here we go. This is between 1 and 32. Here's one.
Oh, that's right. The little bird in a snowstorm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is the Zelda sound effect.
That's the tail that has, yeah.
I love that. I'm gonna go with 32 because I want that Zelda sound effect to go as far as it can. I don't even care about the first part of it, just the last half second. I only care about the last half second.
Yeah. You know what? I agree with you. I'll go with 32. I was trying to decide, but I think I'll settle on 32. I do like them both. I really, yeah, I do like them both. But that last, you're right. That last half second is just so fucking out there. It's so out there. It's from a different game. It's from a different series. That's how out there it is. But no, I agree. All right, well there you go. So that's our first matchup of round 3. We'll do some more in 2 weeks. But that's it for today. So guys, remember mental health awareness and home improvement. That's if you take anything away from this episode, let it be I guess homeless awareness too. Let it be those things. This is a very socially aware episode, mixed with Mila Jovovich and Tim Allen.
And don't kill yourself.
And don't kill yourself. If you feel that way.
And even if you don't kill yourself.
Yeah, don't do it anyways. But find your nearest suicide prevention number and reach out. There you go. Ciao.